Beautiful mates of YouTube, Aussie Marcel here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing my first impressions of two fragrances I've never tried before, Dunhill Eccentric and Tonya Lamborghini Prestigio. So if that sounds good to you, let's get into the video.
Die Verbrennung der
But before I talk about those two fragrances, I will be mentioning my fragrance of the day, and that is Incense Avignon by Comme des Garçons. Was it ever going to be anything else? This fragrance reminds me of a deeply spiritual incense. It reminds me of moss growing on the bark of trees, moss growing on old brickwork. It reminds me of campfires in the middle of the forest. It reminds me of... what else does it remind me of? It reminds me of rain hitting pine needles. It reminds me of rain hitting pine needles in the peak of their vibrancy and beauty. It is just such a magical fragrance, and the more that I've worn this, it reminds me of Encre Noir by Lalique. Except this is a woodier fragrance, whereas the wood notes in Avignon are not as pronounced, not nearly as pronounced. But these two right here are some of the best fragrances on the market. If you want this, but you really don't want to pay for it, get Encre Noir instead, because this is still a magical, dark fragrance. And I'm not done talking about these two scents, not by a long shot. So, Dunhill Eccentric and Tonya Lamborghini Prestigio. I'm going to try out Dunhill Eccentric first. I've got some tester strips here. Presentation. It's got an interesting look. It's very reminiscent of Dunhill's Desire line. And this is 3.4 fluid ounces or 100 ml, and I paid $29 for this from Chemist Warehouse, and there were a few bottles of it left as well. Oh, I can smell the fragrance out of the packaging. It's very floral. Hopefully it hasn't like leaked. Oh no, it hasn't leaked. Interesting bottle design. Sort of looks like a futuristic, what they imagine would have been a futuristic fragrance in like the year 2000. It's like a kickstand for my motorcycle. Atomizer is very good. This is a very nice fragrance, but it is generically masculine. It reminds me of some of the Calvin Klein fragrances that I've smelt over the years. I get little traces, little hints of CK1. I'm also reminded pretty strongly of CK Free. I'm reminded of CKB. It's a little woody, it's a little fresh spicy. There's some floral notes here. It's a little aromatic. This is like a very solid, masculine, cheap fragrance. I like it. It's not my favorite, but it does smell very masculine. It also reminds me of one of the Kenneth Cole fragrances. Kenneth Cole Black, just a hint of that, and Kenneth Cole Mankind. It reminds me of quite a few other generically masculine fragrances. Look, I can imagine a 45-year-old dad going to Crown Casino wearing 20 sprays of this and going absolutely ham at the bar on, you know, martinis. And that isn't necessarily a negative either. It's just one of those guys that he sits at one of the $5 poker tables, and he just goes ham all night, just goes ham. Or he's like in Vegas and he's drinking all those free drinks. He's sitting on the slot machine and he's just drinking Jack and Cokes all night or something. But yeah, it's quite nice. If you're a fan of like just masculine smelling fragrances, I would highly recommend this one. At the $30 price point, it's pretty close in price to CK Free, which to my nose, this is what it smells most like. And you could like take or leave either of those scents at that price. Maybe get this one just because it's a little more complicated with those floral notes, but CK Free is also pretty sexy, and that's like 35 bucks. So yeah, Dunhill Eccentric, not bad, masculine. I can imagine this appealing to a lot of different blokes. Way more than Incense Avignon would. And last but not least, we've got Tonya Lamborghini Prestigio. And this was $14.99, so 15 bucks for 75 ml or 2.5 fluid ounces. It's got a less cheap look to it. It reminds me of the Ferrari fragrances. I have no idea how this one's going to smell. Hopefully it's like the interior of a Lamborghini, because that always smells luxurious. Yeah, what have we got in here? It almost looks like it's expensive, but it's the matte paint on this bottle looks really cheap. So does the cap. Like you can see a little bit of staining there. Ooh, musky, powdery, aromatic, and I also get leather. I get notes of cinnamon, I get a lot of vanilla, I get a soapiness, and I also get a powdery feel as well. This is like Ferrari Red. Very similar to it, but just with more vanilla. This is easily my pick of today. I would get this all day, every day over Dunhill Eccentric. But I'm kind of a sucker for vanilla scents and soapy scents. How similar is it to Ferrari Red? Yeah, there is definitely a similarity there. So, if you've ever worn Lamborghini Prestigio or Dunhill Eccentric, let me know in the comments below. Again, my pick of the bunch is easily and without question Prestigio. This is a very sexy, powdery, vanilla-y fragrance. I would love to like get at my hands on a Lamborghini like leather scent to see how that one goes. I've heard that the Ferrari leather essence, I think it is, scent is meant to be very nice. So if any of you out there have like a spare sample or a spare bottle, just sling my way, let me know, because I will give it a review for you. But yeah, this is the pick of today. Prestigio for $15 Australian is a steal. I can already tell you this is going to get you bulk compliments. But having said that, Eccentric, I'm pretty sure a lot of men are going to gravitate towards the DNA of Eccentric. And so if you're after something that's like a little more safe, a little more generically masculine, go with Eccentric. But if you're after something a little more daring, a little more ambiguous and with a powerful vanilla note, go with Lamborghini Prestigio. Anyways, until the next video, my name is Aussie Marcel, and I'll catch you guys around. That's good.